students of GSMST. I am your reckoning. Oh, you think high school is your ally? You merely adopted high school. I was born in it, molded by it. That's my impression of Batman. Everybody's like, dude, that's a terrible impression of Batman. It sounds like the bad guy, Joker. So my name's Zain. I went to this high school. I'm glad to be back. As you guys have already noticed about me, I'm 19. I look a lot older than I actually am. And I don't really hate that. I don't mind it until people start assuming that I'm a certain age. Like I was flirting with this girl, or so I thought. I thought I was. And she goes, "So Zain, tell me about school." And I was like, "Well, I'm a freshman at Tech and I'm really enjoying it." And then she said, "So tell me more about grad school." Cut the conversation right there. I took my brother out to have dinner and the waitress came up to us, didn't even ask if we wanted, food or water, how we were doing. She just said, "I think it's so nice that you're taking your son out for a meal." And I didn't tip her, and I'm not even ashamed. If you mistake my brother for my son, you're not getting tipped. I'm giving you less money. Let's see, but not only do I look older, I feel older too. Like my body shows signs of aging, and that scares me. Like, I don't know if everybody can hear this, but just listen to this. Those are my knees! That's not a creaky door, those are like these kneecaps! When I asked my doctor about it, he's just like, "Do you have any general concerns?" I'm like, "Oh, my knees crack like all the time." And he's like, "Does it hurt?" And I'm like, "No." And then he's like, "Are any allergies?" Like, he just moves down the list, he doesn't care. Not only do I look older and act older, I think older too. I have older ideas and older principles. And so I've concluded that I'm a 40-year-old trapped in the body of a 40-year-old. That's essentially what it is. So there's that about me. I'm also a little awkward. I tell jokes, and when I tell them, I'm like, "Dude, this is gonna be hilarious." And then people hear them and they're like, "Dude, that was not hilarious." That was like the exact opposite. Like one time I told a joke that physically scared someone. Have you ever told a joke that somebody got frightened by it? I dance at Georgia Tech, and I dance in a building that I don't have access on my card to. So what I have to do is, I have to wait at the exit, and I have to wait for someone else to come in, and then I say, "Hey, can you buzz me in?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure," and then they buzz me in. So one day I was waiting at the exit of the gate to try to get buzzed in. And this girl walks out the exit, and she goes, "Hey." And I was like, "Hey, could you buzz me in?" And she got nervous. Like, body language told me that she was nervous, and that's because I go to Georgia Tech. And you're not really a Georgia Tech student until you've been robbed at gunpoint. It's a little ritual, a tradition that we have. We're very proud of it. And so she got, visibly nervous. So she covered it up by saying, "You're not a robber, are you?" Like that. That kind of really nervous laugh. So I wanted to have some fun. And I was like, "No." And so she opens the gate. And when the gate closes, I wait for it to click shut. And then I put my fingers over the bar and I stare at her and I go, "Just a murderer!" And then I ran away like this. Because that's how I assume a crazy person runs. I tell jokes that are controversial too, that insult people. One time a lot of my friends and I were just sitting around, we were studying, and we had finally finished. So I got up and I said, "Yeah, we're done studying." And everybody was like, "Yeah, man, totally, woo," because that's how my friends react to everything I say. So I'm like, "Yeah, we're done studying." Like, "Yeah, man, woo." And I was like, "I'm gonna sleep like a baby." And they're like, "Yeah, man, woo, yeah." And I was like, "I'm gonna sleep forever." And they were like, "Yeah, man, woo." And I was like, "I'm gonna sleep like Casey Anthony's baby." And they were like, "Whoa, dude. You could have said literally anything else that would have been better." I don't think it's just me. I think human beings are awkward in general. Like, I got into a really weird conversation one day with a guy that I know. His name is Amit. He's the vice president of the SGA. I'm trying to get involved on campus. And I met him a couple times, so I went to speak to him again, and I was like, hey, Amit, how are you? I initiated the conversation. He responded by saying, I'm doing well, I'm doing a lot of work for SGA, how are you? I said, I'm doing well, getting adjusted to college life. So tell me, how are you doing? And then he just stared at me for 10 seconds. And in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I just asked him how he's doing twice. He must think I'm an idiot. We just got into a conversation loop. I'm such an idiot. And in his mind, he's probably like, this kid is such an idiot. Does he have a mental problem? I'm going to be working with him. You know, when you're walking 20 feet away from someone, you can't say hi to them immediately, because then you're just walking in silence for 20 feet. You can't have a conversation like, hey, hello, how's it going? So tell me, how's everything going with you? So what I do is I pull up my phone and I pretend like I'm texting. And then I have to estimate how far away the person is. So I'm like, all right, so she's like 10 feet, 15, 5 feet. Oh, hey. One time I saw my friend Abby 20 feet away. And I took out my phone and I did the whole texting trick. The issue was I severely underestimated how fast Abby could walk. So I pulled out my phone and I'm like, 15 feet, 10 feet, 5 feet, she should be here. Hey, she'd already passed me. But I wasn't gonna let it go, so I was like, Abby, wait! I have to say hi to you! Let's see, man, I'm awkward. I think one thing that really cures your awkwardness and really helps it out, and this is a really bad segue, but work with me, is having a girlfriend. And I've had a girlfriend for like 8 months now, and I think it's, shut up. And I really enjoy it. I think having a girlfriend teaches you compassion and caring and sharing, but the only downside is it's so expensive. Yeah. Like, not the girlfriend is expensive. I mean, like, that would be a whole other relationship. That's like some Thailand stuff. I mean, like, taking her out on dates and doing all that stuff is really expensive. Like, how many people here, like, have a boyfriend or a girlfriend? Raise your hand. So I personally have no use for that information. In fact, I don't care. I just wanted to know who the GSMST nerd couples are this year. And, you guys know the nerd couples. You don't know the ones who are like too socially awkward to hold a conversation, but still like sit in each other's laps at lunch. Like that's a normal thing. I want to hear like listen to our conversations like, hey baby, I love you. Yeah. The little nasal spray, and they just keep coming back pocket there. So, having a girlfriend is expensive, taking her out on dates. If you're a guy and you want to know what it's like to take a girlfriend out on a date, if you want a holistic approach of what a date is going to feel like, take out your wallet, take all the money out of it, grab a lighter, light it on fire, watch it burn in front of your eyes, gather the ashes, put it in your pocket, walk around, and the feeling that you get is what it's like to have a girlfriend. My girlfriend and I go to a really fancy 5-star restaurant called Olive Garden. And when we go, she orders the same thing. She orders spaghetti and meatballs, like an insane amount of food, and she puts cheese on the cheese. Like, you would think that if you get a cheese platter, and the guy's like, would you like some extra cheese? You'd be like, no, this is just raw cheese here. But she's like, I want extra cheese. The amount of cheese that she eats, like 80,000 mice could feed on that cheese for a year, and they'd still be like, dude, this is way too much cheese. We've eaten so much cheese that we've evolved and we can talk now. Too much cheese, we need to stop. So she eats like 10 bites, and then she goes, I'm full. Like, 10 bites, I'm full. And when she's done, I'm done. I'm not gonna keep shoving food down my throat while she's staring at me. So I'm done. And then the waiter comes, and he's like, ma'am, would you like a to-go box? And when he asks her that, in my head I'm like, please, take the food to go. There are starving children who I personally don't care about, but I really want that food. And then she goes, no thank you, I'm fine, I'm full. And the waiter leaves. And I'm sitting here like, I can't express how disappointed I am. So I'm just like, and then she goes, oh, you didn't want to eat that, did you? So 2 things wrong with that. First, you've already made a statement to the waiter. He's gone. Like, he asked if you wanted a to-go box. He listened to the message, his brain processed it, and it's gone. That's over. Second, you asked the question in a negative sense. You didn't say, oh, did you want to take that to go? You said, you didn't want to take that to go, did you? So in order to answer that truthfully, I'm going to have to argue. And I'm not arguing in an Olive Garden. So we're driving back home on the way, and she's like, oh, I'm so full. Oh my God, I ate so much, I can't eat anymore. I'm so full. And that's what I hear. So she goes, wait, an ice cream shop. Let's get some ice cream. Like 30 seconds ago, you said if you ate one more bite, you would explode. That means if you ate one more morsel of food, all your organs would just combust and you would bleed out onto the ground. What happened from 30 seconds ago to that point? Like, was your stomach like, oh my God, dude, there's like no space here. Dude, I can't even move. What's that, brain? The brain's like, dude, we have chocolate raspberry truffle ice cream up here, make space! And stomach's like, are you kidding me, brain? You could have told me earlier, I wouldn't have eaten all this crap. So then stomach's like, you know what, brain, forget it, I got you. So he's just like rearranging things. Putting this over here, he's gonna file that alphabetically. Put all the cheese under the rug. Why is there so much cheese? And he's like, brain, we've got space. Yeah, it doesn't matter how much ice cream you bring down here, the boy's paying for it, isn't he? And then Brain's like, okay. And Brain tells Mouth, and Mouth's like, I'll have 4 scoops on a cone. And then she takes 2 licks and throws it away, and the cycle continues. But it's all about unnecessary spending. That's what the name of the game is. I think the best example of unnecessary spending is when you go to the movie theaters. It makes no sense to me that you would spend more money on the concessions than you would spend on the actual ticket. And if you try to bring food in plain sight, they make you throw it away, like it's an AMC in Nazi Germany. So I do this thing where I bring in food. And I bring food into the movie theaters, this is honest. And it's not like white people bring in food and they're like, I brought peanuts and M&M's, that's so bad. When I bring food to the movie theaters, I bring like meals. Like I have a picnic basket and I'm putting baguettes in it and I'm wrapping it in a checkered flag and I'm sticking it under my jacket, like just trying to look like hello, everyone. Don't notice me. But I mastered the art of bringing food into movie theaters, and that's because I belong to a special class of people called Indians. And this is an art for us. Bringing food into the movie theaters is an art for us. Like, how many of you have been to a brown movie theater? Raise your hand. The first thing you'll hear actually, you can attest to this, in a brown movie theaters, is as soon as people sit down, okay, you hear this. That's a soda can popping open. I don't know if you noticed, they don't sell soda cans at the concession stands. It's just fat Indian aunties bringing in cans and in persons, and as they pass the usher, they just transfer it over. They're like, oh, nothing here. I know this has the size and volume of a Sprite can, but it's not Sprite can. And then the second thing you'll hear is that, and the is Tupperware opening because they brought their dinner. This isn't like the equivalent of American popcorn. This is like dinner. This is like dark brown meat-filled layers of oil, diarrhea-causing, bad-smelling Indian, and they eat it with their hands. They're just like, you know what? Forget it. Like if you brought a white guy to a movie theater or to an American movie theater, he'd be like, oh my God, there's gum on the floor, this is disgusting. And if you brought him to an indie movie theater, he'd just be confused. Like, he'd be like, somebody pooped in here. Somebody defecated somewhere in this movie theater, and I think it's coming from the Tupperware, and we need to leave. We'll all get E. coli if we don't evacuate now! And Indians eat everywhere. They don't need an excuse. They could be on vacation, baseball games, concerts. You could be at a funeral, the most sacred place. And it would not be weird to see someone eating. And it could be like a relative of the deceased. Like it could be like the dude's son just eating over his father's body.
wait, you have to leave! So I popped, dropped some crumbs. 5-second rule. But I'm proud of being Indian. I'm proud of my country. Every time I go to India, I take the next flight back. That's not because I hate India, I love India. But I think that you meet two types of people when you're an American born going to India. The first type of person you meet is the person who, like, loves American people. Like, they bow down to you. Like the Native Americans, meaning the colonists. They think you're like a god. And I'm the colonist, except I don't, murder all of them. And take their land, and then they open up casinos. I don't do that. But I'm very nice to them. I'm like, hello. But the issue is that sometimes they tease you. They overcharge you for stuff because they assume that you're richer. Don't make that decision. I'm cheaper than they are. So they overcharge you for stuff and they tease you. And a lot of times there's a cultural miscommunication that happens, between America and India. And that gets in the way. Like, I went to India once when I was 10 years old, and my younger brother was 6, right? And we have a cousin there, her name is Nazifa. And she was yelling things at us. She was teasing us, and she goes, Angrezi bin labai, Angrezi bin labai, Angrezi bin labai. That translates to English cat brother, English cat brother, English cat brother. I don't know in what country that's an insult, but English cat, like, that's cool to me. Like, I imagine Garfield in a monocle and a top. Hello, I'm English cat brother. Here to speak to you. How do you do? So my brother's with me, and he doesn't speak Hindi, but he's still getting angry at what she's saying. He has no idea. And he's just like, man, we gotta do something about this. Man, we can't take this. And I don't, like, my brother's not a small black child, but that's just how he talks and walks. And he's like, man, we gotta do something about this, man. And then he just says one thing. He goes, Nazifa, you're just a big, stinking, smelly bully. This is where the miscommunication comes that I talked about. Bully in America is someone that hits you and teases you and takes your lunch money, and that's totally cool. Bully in India, and this is honest, is a certain part of the male anatomy. No, it's true. I think you know what part I'm talking about because of how long it's taking me to explain what part of the male anatomy I'm talking about. So, she immediately, her face just falls. Like, immediately, like, and she just says 2 lines. She goes, I'm a bully. I'm a bully. And my brother, at that time, I was like, dude, seriously, quit. Like, as soon as that happened, I was like, this is going in a weird direction. I don't think we're on the same page here. And my brother goes, I've seen hundreds of bullies in America. And this is the first time I've seen a bully in India. And she immediately, she's crying, tears are streaming down her face, but she's also slightly confused. Because he said he's seen hundreds of bullies. I think she was concerned, like, what kind of environment is that? Where he's seeing hundreds of bullies there. And then I was like, seriously, dude, quit. And he's like, hold up, one more. And he goes, the only bullies I've ever seen are boy bullies. This is the first time seeing a girl bully. And she loses it. She's weeping now. Like, self-esteem crushed. All confidence is gone. Her heart is like sinking. And all she said was, it's not even possible, it doesn't make any sense. And then she ran away like this.